Welcome to WSOT TV City Talk. So glad that you are joining us today. You know, this show is about everything pertaining to the city of Marion, and that means we want to hear from you because we take viewer questions and comments. So we want to make sure that you give us a phone call throughout the show. It's a local number, area code 765-536-WSOT. That's 536-9768. You can also go to the show website, ctmarion.com, submit your questions online, and catch archived episodes. Now, I'm your host, Angela Stepp, and next to me, I have the mayor of the city of Marion, Mr. Jess Allen Ball, and I want to say welcome to you, sir. Thanks for coming back for another month.
Thanks for having me again.
You know what? We got some great stuff to talk about.
We have a lot.
State of the city. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, that was just, we're recording this, but that was just yesterday for me.
It really was, yeah. And there's some neat information about the city's YouTube channel. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too. But do you know what? I have viewer questions that we need to get to.
Good.
So now the first question that I have came in, and this came in on the local phone number, the 536-WSOT. Remember, you can call anytime throughout the show, and actually you can call 24 hours a day because this has a message line that you leave your message on. The question is, I think that they need to have a speed limit at the Lowe's Road. Now, I'm not entirely certain what Lowe's Road they're referencing, if it's a road in Marion by the name of Lowe's, or if it's the access road that kind of runs in front of Lowe's. Do you have any kind of idea about maybe what they would be referencing?
No, I don't. I know there's a Lowe's Road. I can see it in my mind, but I can't pinpoint location. But I can look into it. I just haven't had a time here before we taped. I think it's spelled Loew instead of Lowe, if I remember the street sign there. But that's one of those, I'm just not certain of the location.
Okay. Well, we can look into that and maybe follow up on a future episode.
We'll
no problem. Well, that's okay because I have another traffic submission for you. And this came in from Patricia. Patricia, thanks so much for watching the show and calling in. She's got a really important question here.
Okay.
She wanted to let you know that the traffic in front of the school there by Francis Slocum is out of control. The road is really bad there as well, but the cars just fly by during school hours and someone is going to get hurt. Maybe we can have some police to watch that or something, but she thought that you should know it's not safe, and she says thank you and keep up the good work.
Well, first of all, I appreciate your kind words and your concern there. The school zones are an area we're looking at, even as far as we look at street paving and such. We do have, as I came here this afternoon for the taping of this show, I went by Justice and on the way to the church here, and there was a police officer monitoring traffic there. So I know some of them are trying to get out and do that. It's just we can't be at every school and every location. I will share your concern, Patricia, with Chief Hadley, our police chief, and let her know that there's some concerns around Francis Slocum during the time the students leave and come to the school.
That's a good thing. And I know that we had expressed on a previous episode that there was a need for anybody that would notice need for extra patrol in the areas of school zones to give you a call just to raise awareness. So Patricia heard that when we were talking about St. Paul and Riverview Elementary and the high-speed traffic out there. So I'm glad that she heard that and thought to call in and raise awareness. That's good.
Yes, and I would also say this. Don't be afraid to call the police over any issue. Don't think you're bothering the police. Chief Haley reminds me always to tell the public, if you see something you're concerned about, don't assume it's not something that needs checked out. That's what they're here for. Call them, they'll check it out.
That's good to know, because I know sometimes people see things and they think, ooh, you know, they're busy all the time. It might be just a minor thing. I'm not going to bother them. But you know what? It might be a really important something.
Rather be safe than sorry.
Right. Okay, so now I have another question. And this one has to do, I mentioned St. Paul, but I think it's a different St. Paul. This has to do with water drainage. And I'm going to go ahead and read it, and I don't have a name, so that you didn't leave me a name or I give you a shout out, but thanks for calling in anyway. There is a huge problem with drainage in our area, particularly towards the east end of Kem Road, nearing the Nazarene Church. The water pools behind the homes and eventually leaches into the basements of property in the area, which that would be unpleasant.
Oh.
Yeah, and expensive to repair depending upon what you've got down there. There is a tile going under Kem Road toward the soccer field of St. Paul that never has water flowing. Why would water pool on the side 30 yards away from a dry drainage tile? So I'm thinking, as I read that, I wonder if maybe some kind of tree or something has root structure that's grown in and blocked that tile, maybe.
More than likely. First of all, let me assure you that Chuck Binker, the director of Marion Utilities, who he and his team do an outstanding job, he and I met a week ago. We have a monthly meeting, and I shared with him a concern about a neighborhood who also has blockage in South Marion, and he said that's already on our agenda. I also shared with him that I ran into an old friend at Meyer while I was shopping after work one day, and they shared a concern with me about their mother's place in Central Marion, and he said, we're aware of that area too. This is along an alleyway where there's backup and the water gathers, and he said, we are aware of that. It's on our schedule too. We can only get to so many each year, but I will share this location with Chuck too. And trust me, he has a plan in place. They're already looking at these areas where we have these water collection areas that are causing problems on homeowners. So I will be sure to share this location with him when we talk again. You know,
thought occurred to me as I was listening to you answer, you know, when we had folks in the past calling in with road repair inquiries, and you had gone through and kind of looked at all the different roads in the city that needed repair, and then you made a list, and then you made that list public about what roads would be dealt with or prioritized to be dealt with first. Maybe with the drainage, would that be something that you could maybe do as well?
You know, that's something I could talk to Chuck Binkert about and see if he would release his schedule of where he's going to address those drainage issues, because there's storm sewers that need put in or tiles, whatever needs done. The utilities does a lot of that work. I will share that with Chuck and see if he can make those accommodations for
That'd be kind of nice, because I know you always work really hard to try to keep everybody up to date, and the city website has a lot of great information on it. And, you know, speaking of keeping people up to date, I got to tell you guys, there's something new that the city did, has to do with YouTube. The city has a new YouTube channel, or maybe they've refined and kind of upgraded their existing YouTube channel. But I understand that you can find some really nice videos on there, and they're going to be posting some more videos very soon. I know the State of the City address was just posted to that. It was yesterday, actually, from today's taping date. So I want to encourage folks to check out the city website. Mayor, what are your thoughts on this YouTube and the availability of that platform to get your message out?
Well, no, Layla Price is the one who works in the marketing department for us, leads our marketing, and she's working on that. I'm probably the last guy you want to talk to when it comes to technology or cell phones or any of that. Emails are foreign to me. I'd rather call you or talk to you in person than send an email. I'm much more face-to-face, or at least phone call. But yeah, we're excited about this. Layla's really excited. We're 21st century, and we need to get up to speed. And this is just one piece of that. Another way to communicate with you, the citizens, who are our boss. We work for you, and it's a way to share what's going on in the community with you.
Well, speaking of sharing what's going on in the community, how about we take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's talk about some of the highlights that you shared pertaining to the state of the city.
Sounds good.
You like that idea?
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, I want to keep you calling in. Make sure that you give us a call or text that message line, area code 765-536-WSOT. Go to the show website, ctmarion.com. You can submit your questions and comments online there. We'll be right back with some more WSOT City Talk in just a moment.
I can't believe we broke Old Man Hennessy's window.
Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We?
Go to the door, ask for the ball back.
Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtlebeck.
You so dead.
I'd run away.
Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go.
See ya. Remember me and your well.
Nice one. Some friends you are.
Hi. Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome back to WSOT TV City Talk. So glad that you are watching. We want to remind you that this is your show, and what we talk about is pertaining to the city of Marion. And all your questions, your comments, your suggestions, we want to hear from you, and you can do that a couple of different ways. We have a local message line. It's area code 765-536-WSOT. You can call or text that number anytime. I'll say it again, 765-536-9768. You can also go to the show website, which is ctmarion.com. You can submit your questions online there. You can watch this episode over and over again, and you'll find archived episodes. So if you heard us say something in the past and you wanted to go back and kind of refresh your memory, you can do it there too. So, Mayor, I promised folks that we were going to be talking about some of the highlights from the State of the City address that you just gave yesterday. So it's still fresh in your mind, and I'm going to kind of just pull some highlights out for the sake of time, because I know we don't have enough to go over everything, but we'll hit some good stuff. First off, I really wanted to...
Well, first off, let me share the low light.
Oh, well,
because it's on
okay.
video too. It's been streamed all over, and at my expense. I knocked my water bottle over about 2/3 of the way through my presentation, and could no longer do the PowerPoint because I knocked it over onto the laptop that Kylie Jackson owned, who's the director of the Chamber of Commerce. And it stopped my PowerPoint presentation, so I had to just ad-lib from there on.
Oh, well, it's a good thing you knew your facts and figures already, so that's a good thing.
But Kylie's laptop is functioning. It began to work last evening, so they were having fun on it at my expense on social media.
Oh my goodness! You know, the little wireless mics that we have right now. I can tell you that we have had folks that have come in and they have been dropped into let's just say reservoirs of water that they shouldn't have been. You have them clipped to their belt loop, and we've found that electronics, if you let them just dry out, don't touch them, they'll be okay.
That was the case here. I was worried about it. I said, the check's in the mail, Kylie.
Oh, well, I'm glad her computer was okay and the data and everything was intact. That's a good thing.
It was a nice event.
Yeah.
They do a good job.
Yeah. All righty. So we were just mentioning that you have the new city YouTube channel, and the full video of the State of the City address is on there, and people can go to the city website. You can go to the City of Marion website, and there's a link on the show website, the ctmarion.com that I just told you about. That'll take you right there to it, so you don't have to look too hard for it. And I love the fact that you made that available to everyone. That was something we had talked about. People had requested that you make it available to everyone and not just a select few who could attend a specific time of day event. And so thank you for making that available to all. So
let me add this. I will still try to do another one in April. I'm working on a site, a date, and a time, but do one probably sometime in April that will be free of charge, and hopefully in a more central location, and maybe even on a Saturday, so people can have access to it that maybe work and can't get away on their lunch break. So that's my plan. That's
a great idea. You know, one of the things that I think came out of that address that you gave was that sense of hope that has seemed to come back to our community. There's a sense of pride, I think, that has become visible too over the last handful of years. And I'm not exactly sure if we can pinpoint where that's coming from, but I do appreciate that is there. And I think that some of the positives that we see happening are helping to lend to that hope that we're seeing.
Right. I think a large part of it's the prayer. We do prayer every Monday at City Hall, and I think, God's just been waiting for us to ask for His guidance and His help. And I'm hoping this kind of excitement turns into revival. That would be the best thing to happen to our community. Well, I can say that on here. This is a faith-based ministry, so I can say that.
That's right. I wouldn't be upset if that happened at all.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about some of the financial progress, right? This is something that I thought was really exciting. Revenue this past year, revenue exceeded expenses by over $1.5 million this past year. That means you had a surplus of over $1.5 million. And within that surplus, that even accounted for the fact that you were able to reduce that insurance fund deficit that we have talked about on this show with your administration and previous administration. You were able to make a huge 30.9% investment into that and reduce that deficit down. I think it was, let me look at my notes. It was over $300,000 payment that you were able to make to reduce that deficit, which has been looming over our heads for a number of years now.
About, almost a decade, close to it, somewhere in that range. But yeah, thanks to Julie Flores, our controller there at City Hall. She's done a wonderful job helping manage the finances, and we've come a long way. Unball Associates, who we use as a consulting firm for our finances, has been amazed at the progress we've made in these 3 years. So I'm very pleased. I knew Julie was the right person for the job. And Julie, if you're listening, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. It's a lot of work and a lot of effort that goes into that people have no idea.
And a lot of sacrifice from our department heads too, and our employees.
Yes.
Let's not hide this. We haven't given a raise in 4 years. This is year 4 for me. We have not given any raises. We're looking at that possibility right now. Julie and I are trying to figure out, can we do that this year across the board? And we're hopeful. We are hopeful, but we also have to know we know whose money we're playing with. It's your money. You, the citizens of Marion, you're the boss, and we're playing with your money. So we want to make sure we're good stewards with that.
We appreciate that. That's good. So some other progress areas, right? Let's talk about the fact that we've had a lot of young families and children not only come into the community, but stay in the community and build homes within this community. 32 new homes were built this past year, and that is up. When you look at in the year 2015 or 2016, there were only 15 new homes built. More than double this past year were built. That speaks volumes. There's some definite trust and excitement, I think, about the progress and the direction that our community is going for people to be willing to invest into this community again by building a new home.
Oh, I agree. I think this is huge. You're seeing the number of new homes being built increase every year. That means these developers know something's going on here in Marion. We need to get out in front of this so we're prepared. And they want to, they're in it to make profit, to make money, and they see this as a ripe territory, and the time is now to invest in Marion. And she's speaking of the homes that are happening. Also, our downtown investors. Sherry French of Comforts at Home just opened up a business again in downtown Marion. She's out on Highway 37 and 22 with her big store, but she's right back in her old location in downtown Marion. And I'd gone out to talk to her, and she believes that things are really starting to change, and she wants to be a part of that change. And she just sees an opportunity to have a business downtown that can make her money and be successful, and yet be a good partner with the community of Marion too. So we're grateful for her coming back down, and all the other investors. Marion National Bank, the old National Bank's been purchased. Wolf Building, Beatniks Building, and there's some others that we're working on.
In fact, statistics there in your address said that $4 million worth of commercial investment was made last year. So that's significant. And speaking of downtown businesses and some of those revitalization efforts, I want to take a moment to do a quick shout out and do a recognition of the Marion Business Spotlight of the Month. And it happens to be Sender Wellness. Owner and entrepreneur Bill Reese celebrated the grand opening of Sender Wellness, which is located in the heart of downtown Marion back in October of 2018, so just this past fall. They offer a variety of yoga classes there. I think there's around 18 different classes offered weekly, and I believe that they are looking to increase that number to maybe around 25 or so per week, and that's going to be happening hopefully by the summer. So we want to give a big shout out to Sender Wellness and thank you for investing in our community.
Let me add real quickly, Bill Reese's building, Sender Wellness, it's located in the old National Building, or some people, the old I&M building in downtown Marion, right just south of the new Riverside Credit Union building across the river on the south side of the river there in downtown Marion. And he's put his own money in the game and taken the risk, and he has a cafe and a coffee shop that he's looking to add to that location here very soon.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, hey, we were wanting new.
We want amenities to choose from.
We do. Speaking of those new amenities, there are a number of new dining choices in town. There's a very nice steak joint just down the way.
I heard there was a steakhouse somewhere.
Yeah, and with the Texas Roadhouse, we're so thankful that they're here.
Yes.
And I also understand that you hinted that there might be more dining choices on the horizon.
There's more restaurants looking at Marion. A couple have done a lot of work getting the paperwork and permits and all they're going to need, but it's too early to announce them yet. I like them to do that in their own timing, not my timing. But there's some more amenities and options for people here in the Marion and Grant County area to enjoy.
You know, another, as far as progress and investing in the community, Carry Services added some new housing this past year. And I think that's pretty exciting because they do a lot of great work here in our community. And I also want to let everybody know that, you know, they have an event coming up. That is, now Carry Services it's a fundraiser event. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. It's going to be a meal. It's an award night. It's going to be a fun night. It's their 2019 Suits and Sneakers event, and that is coming up March the 9th. And that's going to take place at Roseburg Event Center. If you want more information, you're going to need to go to the Carry Services website. But I do want to remind you that is coming up on March the 9th. Called? It is a night at Carry Suits and Sneakers
That's a
2019.
Cool idea. And I want to say kudos to Jim Allball and his team out at Carry Services. I've probably been through there 3 or 4 times since I've been mayor. And he and his staff do a wonderful job and have a great ministry here in our community, and a great asset for this community.
They really are. So moving on to the state of the city, get my notes here. See, I want to keep the show moving so that you guys are staying on top of it. And if you have a question, as we're talking about things, you have a comment, give us a call. Local number, 765-536-WSOT. Go to the show website, ctmarion.com. You can submit your questions online there too. All right, so newly paved roads. We've got a few of those now. Thank you.
We do.
Yes. So in 2018, 6.25 miles of newly paved roads were taken care of. And I understand in 2017, you had about 7.25, a generous 7.25 miles worth. 2016, you were able to do 4.25 miles. Now, that's significant because you start adding those up. And each year, you're just taking a little bit more off of that list of to-do. And I understand you plan to do a little over 6 miles again this year, right?
Right. Well, all the money we have for roads is going into paving our roads. Unfortunately, if you don't live on one of those roads that paved, you don't really care. But we're focused primarily on our major thoroughfares where the heavy traffic is. So we all use those roads, Washington, Adams. You know, just pick out the major roads. We all know what they are. We're trying to get them paved. Right now, we have 20% of our roads are less than 3 years old. That means when the weather changes, those roads aren't likely to have potholes. As we have the freeze and thaw, those are when the potholes start to drive us crazy. Indianapolis, Seattle, Washington, pick a city anywhere. This is a problem everywhere. And the more we can get paved, the fewer pothole problems we'll have. Now, I do know they're going to age each year.
Right.
But let's get as many paved as we can.
Right.
And make that part of our quality of place.
It's a good thing. And you mentioned Washington Street, and I would be remiss if I didn't point out that there was some recognition given to the community crossing for awarding City of Marion $531,000 to be allocated towards a $1.2 million paving effort that took care of Washington Street, Western Avenue, and Chapel Pike. And I understand that you had made a promise that every dime of every dollar that came in that was allocated for road repair was going to go to road repair.
And Mike Graff, the city engineer, and James Loftus, the head of citywide maintenance, which is streets and parks, and they've done a great job of managing that. Mike Graff handles going for the grants that are available, and we are very thankful. I think Mike would tell you that it's the most roads we've paved in many, many years over the last 3. And we are grateful for the community crossing grant money that's helped us to do that. But that was one of the priorities. Let's take care of our basic infrastructure first and foremost and get these streets healthier.
Mm-hmm. You know, I also want to point out another thing that your administration has been doing, and that is emphasizing relationship with neighborhood associations. I believe that there's 14 current neighborhood associations, and that you have allocated a full-time position dedicated to being a liaison to those associations. And that's something that's new within your administration this year. I really appreciate that. And I also want to point out something else that came up. There's something that to do with job fairs. And this is something that I think everybody wants to know about, because I do get phone calls from many of you, and I'm thankful that you do, inquiring about employment opportunities. So there is, I'm just going to take a second here to read this. The City of Marion's economic development partner, the Grant County Economic Growth Council, along with the Marion Grant County Chamber of Commerce, the Gas City Area Chamber of Commerce, and Work One. They've all teamed together. That's big collaboration there. They have all teamed together to coordinate a monthly job fair. There will be one job fair that will take place every single month of the year of 2019. And Mayor, I believe the next one, they're doing themes, right? So some are going to be maybe manufacturing oriented. In fact, I think the next one coming up is going to be focusing on manufacturing, and that is March the 21st that's going to be happening. But if you would like information about that, go to the city website. There's a link on there that'll take you to it, or you can go to the City of Marion, Grant County Chamber of Commerce website, and you can get information there too. So, Mayor, you've put a lot of emphasis on reducing blight in the community. And there have been 40 structures that were demolished this past year to kind of help take care of that blight problem. And I know that there's a lot of folks that have called in that have inquired about that over the years. And so thank you for making sure that you're hearing that and doing something about it.
Right, and that's a priority too. We know that 40 structures, when you drive around the city, doesn't seem like a lot, but there's a cost with every house you have to tear down and haul away the debris. And I think Jerry Faustnight, our building commissioner, has done a great job there of staying on track and focused with his crew. And we're chipping away at it. I would like to see us focus more now this year on the 2 Indiana 18s, East and West, and South Washington, South Adams. Our major thoroughfares that people coming through our community, those may be the only roads they're on. I call it the front porch of Marion. I'd like to clean up some of the blight there and kind of focus on that a little bit. And so when people come through Marion, their first impression of Marion will be much more positive.
Yep. And you know what? We're out of time, but I want to leave everybody on a positive note here. Speaking about a blight elimination effort, champions of the month for the City of Marion, Vernon and Tijuana Bryants. They are going to be officially, for the first time, the overseers of the community garden, the Flying Tomato. That's the community garden. It's about 16,000 square foot of garden.
In their neighborhood.
It was something developed by the Affordable Housing Corporation of Grant County in 2011 as part of the Blight Elimination Beautification Project. And the Bryants are a champion of the month for the City of Marion. And so we want to say a great big shout out to you. Thank you so much for taking care of that garden, that effort, for overseeing it. You've already put 5 years of effort into it. And so now we're excited to see where you're going to take it this year. Well, folks, we're out of time, but I want to encourage you, check out the show website, ctmarion.com. You'll find links to the YouTube channel that takes you to see the entire State of the City address, and hopefully not the water spill that he mentioned. Maybe that's been edited out. I don't know. But until next time, we hope that you'll stay tuned for some more quality family programming that you can trust right here on WSOT TV.